I can see we have already 32 people. Please note that in order to hear the meeting in Spanish or in English all the time, you have to switch in the button on the low bar, navigation bar, where it says interpretation, and choose the channel that you decide. Entonces, si necesitan cambiar al español, tienen que dar al botón de interpretación.
So if you need to change to Spanish, click on interpretation, languages, and then choose Spanish so that you can listen to all the presentations in Spanish.
We have 35 people that have joined us. I can see a lot of friends from different parts of the world. Thank you for joining. Colleagues from Namibia, from Eswatini, from Zimbabwe, from I see Puleng from Lesotho as well. Kathy from San Vincent has also joined us, and Karen from Honduras, Iman from Egypt. So very good, very nice to have this opportunity to catch up with all of you. I'm just waiting 2 more minutes. If someone has a question or a comment. I'm joined today by my colleague Maria and Caroline and Roxana. And we have other colleagues from the team, Lazar, who many of you know as well, it's in the call. Joining us as well. So, 40 people joining. This is like the countdown. We are getting used until New Year's Eve, no? Preparing for New Year's Eve for the countdown. We wait just 1 more minute to start, because I know that sometimes people just rush from one meeting to the other. So. So we have now 2 o'clock, 5 minutes past 2 o'clock here in Geneva. So I'm going to start this meeting. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you. If you are looking for the interpretation in Spanish, just click on the button interpretation and choose the right channel to hear all these presentations in Spanish. Si necesita encontrar la traducción en español, puede cambiar de interpretación.
If you need to switch languages, then you can always click the button underneath to change the interpretation language.
My name is Aranza Sanchez. I have been working here in UNCTAD or helping supporting 3 facilitation committees for over a decade now here. And I work in the development of the reform tracker and bringing the reform tracker to many of your countries. So many of you know me already. I'm joined here by several colleagues, Maria, Caroline, Roxana, Lazar. We are all in the same team trying to bring the reform tracker to you. So without further delay, let me show you what we have prepared today. So first, I'm going to show you a couple of achievements, statistics about improvements, about results that we have achieved all together in the reform tracker this year. I'm going to make a recognition to the top countries, so they're really like the most performing countries in terms of the use of the reform tracker. I will share with you all the things that we have developed in the past year. I would make a kind of a refreshment of these key features that were developed this year, and present you our ideas for 2024. And finally, we will get the opportunity to hear from practitioners how they're using the reform tracker, how they are progressing with the trade facilitation reforms. More than the use of the reform tracker, actually what we are wishing to see is really countries improving and implementing trade facilitation measures. That's the most important. We will count, hopefully, with the testimonials from Peru, Eswatini, San Tomé, and Príncipe, and Bolivia. If there are no issues, technical issues, and they can all join, then we should have these 4 presentations. If you have any questions, you can send them in the chat or raise your hand, and we will give the floor later to whoever wants to share. It can be a question, it can be a comment, or just to share an experience, so feel free. Let's move now to the global impact. If we have a look at the statistics in terms of number of track changes across the countries that are using the reform tracker, we can see that over the past 2 years and a half, we got over 15,000 changes. But what is more important is that we can see, comparing the white part to the purple part, is that this year these changes keep coming. We have a little bit more in terms of, if we compare both times, a little bit more of changes in 2023, and you can even see from the purple line that in the last semester we have like a more a bigger inclination in terms of changes. What does it mean? It means that the reform tracker is being updated by many of you. And what we are seeing is that a big number of countries who got their reform trackers set up in 2021 are now conducting new, let's say, assessments of the situation, like an evaluation to see, is that really updated, or do we need to update certain things? We have several countries where we have support the countries on the implementation of their new roadmaps, drafts of roadmaps in Madagascar, in Eswatini, in Cambodia. We just recently did a training. In Zambia right now, this week, they are having also a training on the use of the reform tracker, and also on updating the current situation in the reform tracker. So we see a lot of movement. In Namibia, they had an event also during the summer. So this is where you can see these results here. Also, quite interesting is, and this is exactly the impact that we are looking, is that we can see in countries that there are a higher number of countries that are marking reforms as done. And if you have a look on the form of the curve, you will see that in the purple zone, that is 2023, the curve is now more steep. So it means that we have more and more countries marking reforms related to the WTO TFA as done. Actually, we have several cases of countries that have informed about early implementation of certain reforms. So congratulations to all of them. You can follow this as well in the WTO Trade Facilitation Facility website, where in that database you can see which countries have notified early implementation of measures, etc. But in terms of the reform tracker, we can see the statistics that there is progress in the implementation of the WTO TFA. Also, what I think is very important for you as administrators of the reform tracker is that even if you are not updating the reform tracker as often as you wish, you should know that the reform tracker keeps being visited by your recipients by your users of the reform tracker, your stakeholders. And this can be seen here. Again, in purple, you can see 2023, where we have a steady increase in the number of page visits across all the reform trackers from all the countries, adding to over 225,000 visits in the reform tracker across the countries. So now let's go to the recognition. Do you wish to know which are the countries that got more visits in 2023 or the countries that made most changes? Let's have a look at it. So in the top 3 of the most updated countries in 2023, measured by the number of changes performed in the reform tracker, we have Egypt. And in Egypt, we have to say that this year we recently started, and this is the whole work of one person who has been making all the assessments and all the changes. So a big applause for Mohamed, who I think he's connected as well today. So Egypt, in a very short period of time, due to the whole update of the site, they have made a lot of changes, near 500 changes in this period of time. The second one is Bolivia. Felicidades a Bolivia. Also with nearly 500 changes in 2023. And the first one is Swatini, and we will have the pleasure to hear more about that and what those changes entail from Nungile directly. We have a presentation with her. On the top 3 most consulted countries in 2023, measured by the number of page visits, we have Ecuador, which is a very active country in our reform tracker. We have Cambodia, where we recently did this course that has triggered a lot of interest by stakeholders just last week. And we have also number 1, Namibia. Namibia got around, I don't know, 17,000 visits during the year, also triggered by many of the activities that the Namibia Secretariat of the NTFC has been organizing in the past month. So congratulations to the 3 of them. I think it's very important to see that the countries with the most changes and the countries with the most page visits do not match, which means that that not necessarily because you have a very updated reform tracker, it means that you are going to have most visits. It really depends on the interest of your constituents and also many other activities that you are organizing throughout the year. Now, let's look at the innovations and future plans. So, in 2023, we have improved the reform tracker constantly. And here is a list of some of the things that we already presented in the past, but I'm going to insist on some of them because I think they are very important features that you should take advantage of. So we did a redesign of the implementation checklist just to make it user-friendlier and make sure that it's very easily trackable where it's standing, who is responsible for approving it, and also to see the information that people are uploading to justify that each of the items of the checklist is implemented. We also have a download center. I'm going to show it to you in the next slides. We have improved the filtering system in the task overview in the page to make it clear, user-friendlier. Also, in the download center, you can find a Gantt chart for your planning. This was not available before, so it's a very nice to have. You can download it with all the reforms and the timeline of the reforms, etc. And we have improved many of the notifications. I'm pretty sure you have received them. You know, the ones that say that there has not been any changes in the past month, or that a task is upcoming in its deadline, or that a reform should be should be updated, and that we have the with the different notifications. For example, to say that you should use the early warning mechanism. And I don't know for you, but for me, I receive also this notification, and it's super useful because I get to follow up on many of you saying, have you considered using the early warning mechanism? And we recently made an evaluation, and we did some statistics that quite revealing. Is that the countries that are working with us on the use of the reform tracker are using the early warning mechanism of the WTO much more than other countries, other LDCs and developing countries in general. It does not mean that you are more late than others in the implementation of the measures. It means that you are really using the framework of the agreement to make the most out of it and really play by the rules, which is something that WTO member states want to see when they meet in the WTO committee. Some of you in October got the opportunity to come to Geneva to assist to one of those meetings, that you have seen how important it is for certain countries that countries are doing things by the deadlines. So the reform tracker help us to make sure that we do not forget these deadlines. We also have a new feature that we have developed in the past months on deleting and reassigning resources, and I will show you this later with Olivia. The newsletter personalization, that is one of the things that I love the most, to be able to add this personal touch to the monthly newsletter that your constituency receives. And a new functionality that is ready since last week on for adding deliverables, and I'm going to explain this to you. So this is the first one on the download center. It's available already since the mid of the year, but just to show you that you can download an overview of reforms, overview of tasks, the Gantt chart, the list of users. So here you have, for example, the overview of reforms. And it's quite interesting because you can also, through these Excels, create a lot more of charts according to your needs, to use the list of users when you're organizing an event, etc. So it's really handy. It comes really handy. The other task, other functionality that we have recently done, I think it was last month, is the reassignment and deletion of users. So when you have a user that you want to reassign the certain resources, then you click on the, let me just stop the video because it was going a little bit too quick. So you go to admin section, you go to the user list, and then you can choose the user you want, and you click on the bin, and then you have to reassign this task or resource. So selecting who is going to be responsible for that task. And then you can, once you have taken that task or that resource from a person and give it to another person, then you will be able to delete that person. This is super useful, and I'm going to give you a very concrete example. Last year we had a key player in the NTFC of Lesotho who left for another job, and then it was super easy to just use this functionality to look at all the things where she was involved and allocate these things to another person in the Secretariat of the NTFC to make sure that these responsibilities do not get lost. We have done it also with, for example, when a national consultant works on the reform tracker, but then he or she is not part anymore of the reform tracker, then you can reassign. People who go in maternity leave, in paternity leave, who go for a short consultancy to another job, you can just reassign the tasks and make sure that that they don't get lost. And I also like to use it, for example, just to see how important a person is inside the reform tracker or inside the NTFC of a country. So if I go to this functionality, I just pretend to delete the user, and then I see the list of things that this person has in its own hand. I can really see if the distribution, for example, among members of the secretariat, it's equal or not, or if there are some members that have more things to do. The other functionality is the NTFC announcements in the monthly newsletter. I'm super happy that many countries are using it. Around half of the countries send personalized messages every month. I have here some examples of Eswatini, of Honduras, Peru, Ecuador, São Tomé, Namibia. So it's very, very important to use the newsletter as this space for the NTFC to promote what you are doing. And every month there are things that are happening, not necessarily from the NTFC, but reforms in customs, in Ministry of Trade, conferences that you organize, things that have an impact in trade facilitation and that you should be communicating about. So we have this month, it's a very special month, as you know, because when we will send the newsletter on the 1st or 2nd of January, we have the new year. So if you wish to have a personalized message for your constituency, for your recipient, for your reform tracker users and trade facilitation stakeholders, please send me by the 22nd of December your message, your Happy New Year message of your NTFC, or if you have something special that happened in December, we can inform about it. I know that many NTFCs are having meetings this month, so there are things that can be announced apart from just saying Happy New Year. But please send me your messages by the 22nd of December, and I will make sure that they get added into the newsletter that will be released on the 2nd of January. So we come to the last functionality that we have developed this year, and let me tell you a little bit of why this functionality. This year I had the opportunity to travel to several countries and to use with you the reform tracker as a planning tool. We did the roadmap in Madagascar, we did it in Eswatini, we did a regional workshop in Johannesburg with many countries of South Africa. We have done the same in Latin America. Roxana was there. I just traveled to Cambodia also to look into the reform tracker and updated it. And one of the things that frustrated me is the fact that in the part that goes in the Beyond WTO TFA, the roadmap or the working groups, depending on your countries, on how you call it, we didn't have an implementation checklist. And I really think that it's super useful to have this process of validating when a reform is considered finished. So we have worked on that, and now each of you can create the implementation checklist for the non-WTO TFA measures. So basically, you select one of the measures that is below the non-WTO TFA. You go on update measure, and then now you will see this new thing that's called deliverables. And you can draft, you can put the name that you want and the description that you want, and put in here an example. And then you are able to update it. We are currently, this is like the first beta version. We are currently improving it to make, because there are a couple of things that could be more user-friendly. So we are working on it. But basically, I wanted to show you the main functionality now. So for those of you who have recently added roadmaps to the reform tracker, this is a great place to put the indicators for each of your roadmap reforms, goals, whatever you want to call it, to later be able to check when you have implemented them. So here I'm doing the final distinction, then I add, and when it's added, I save the changes, and now I can see that the implementation checklist has appeared, and now I have the checklist. I can click, select the next person that needs to be notified, explain why I consider that this has been done. So as a test, I'm just writing the regional agreement has been drafted, and then I could add as a file the agreement. And then it appears there, like I have done the update, and the implementation checklist is there for the non-WTO TFA. This is, for example, one of the countries that work most with the working groups is Kenya and Rwanda, because they're using it for the simplification. So this is something that they wish to explore. But as I said, many of you are using now this part to include your roadmap. So I think it's quite interesting to explore this a little bit more. If in the next months you have questions, you need our assistance to help you come up with this implementation checklist, just please reach to your country manager or UNCTAD country manager, and we will help you with that. So now to the big plans of 2024. You know that last year we made a survey administrators to see a little bit how was your use of the reform tracker, and one of the things that came out the most is that you long for a mobile form of the reform tracker, because right now it's not very mobile friendly. So this is going to be our main focus in 2024. We will work on the mobile friendliness of our tool to make sure that you all can use it from your mobile devices. And we will also work on the general usability of the web form, so that many of the things that do not seem so easy or so natural in the reform tracker, we will try to solve them and have a more attractive and friendly platform for all of you. So this is just a mock-up of how we wish it will look, but we are very, very excited about this development for 2024. Also, just to give you an example, one of the things that we are going to add is the possibility to say that a task is a subtask of another task. So, for example, if one of your tasks is to create a communication strategy for the NTFC, then you will be able to put task within that task, so that you can, use it more and more for all the planning purposes, and so that it's more clear. So we are going to work on solving many of the issues that we have experienced, and I think this is also was very good for us to be more to have the opportunity, thanks to the UK government, who is actually, as you know, supporting this project and these developments, to be able to be with you, use the reform tracker with you, do the roadmaps with you. It gives us a lot of opportunities to experience bugs, to solve bugs, to come up with this bucket list of things that we want to improve, and this is what we are going to do in 2024. So we come to the end of my presentation, and before we give the floor to the first speaker, just to confirm, yes, we have Alejandra there. So before we go to the first speaker, I want to let you know that Egypt and Sao Tome are the countries that have welcomed or joined the Reform Tracker community this year in full, and we are super excited about it. We also have work on integrating the Reform Tracker in 4 islands of the Caribbean, as I announced in our last meeting. San Lucia, Dominica, Grenada, and San Vincent and the Grenadines. Work there is moving forward, and we hope that next year the tool will be presented to the NTFC members, and the use of the Reform Tracker will become more active there as well. I don't know if Tariq, is Mohammed online?
Iman is here.
Yes, Iman and Muhammad are both online.
Okay, so Iman,
Yes.
maybe if you don't mind me asking you if you want to say a few words of what do you think that the Reform Tracker could bring to Egypt? This is your first time, I believe, in this regional events of the Reform Tracker family. So welcome to our family, Iman.
Thank you, Aranshana. I'm very happy to be with you today, and I'm very happy to join the administrators' 9th quarterly meeting. Indeed, Egypt, we are very excited to join the Reform Tracker, and I'm very happy that we rank 3rd in the most updated Reform Trackers. And here I would like to thank Muhammad. And we have actually initiated collaboration with you, UNCTAD, funded by the UK, of course, back in October. So, and we have been involved in the e-learning program for the National Trade Facilitation Committee members, and including the private sector. And it has been indeed very helpful, and I'm looking forward to using the Reform Tracker and capitalizing on it in order to track our trade facilitation reforms. And I believe we have discussed this before. We have submitted our categorization of trade facilitation reforms, the 36 measures, back in 2019, and we are doing a lot on the ground. And the Reform Tracker, I believe, would give us the appropriate tool to follow all those things we are doing on ground. And in fact, I have followed with Muhammad the updates he has made on the Reform Tracker, and it really gives you this visualization of where you are, and helps us to plan the next steps. We have currently a draft trade facilitation roadmap or strategy, which we will be looking forward to integrate it in the Reform Tracker. So we are so excited to join the Reform Tracker, and we are putting high hopes on it to help us follow up on our implementation of the trade facilitation agreement, and to benefit from the framework of the agreement, as you have mentioned, when it comes to the early warning system. And so of course, I see Aransha, Tariq, and Lazar, and Maria, and you have been of great help to us during since we launched the program on October 2nd this year. So we're so happy to collaborate, and we're looking forward to building on this collaboration even after we finalize the program. So And I'm very happy to be with everyone. And I'm saying, like you said, good morning and good afternoon and good evening to all colleagues from all around the globe. So, and you can count on us. That will be in the next meetings. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Inshallah, Iman, inshallah.
Thank you.
Thank you for your intervention. So I think if all goes well, we will hear from San Tome as well later. So we have brought to you this time around 4 testimonials from Bolivia, Eswatini, Peru, and San Tome. So without further delay, I would like to give the floor to Bolivia. I believe Alejandra is there. Alejandra, te doy la palabra. Muchísimas gracias.
Alejandra, you have the floor. Good morning. Can you hear me? I do apologize because my camera is not working properly, so I will turn it off. Let me share my screen, please.
Normalmente podrías.
You should be able to.
Sí. Estamos viendo tu pantalla, sí.
All right, we can see your screen right now. Thank you. We would like to share the experience of Bolivia implementing the FTC and the World Trade Organization. We have made a lot of progress with technology. From 2021, we have made a lot of progress. Now we have 3 meetings towards 2023 of ordinary meetings, amongst many other technical meetings that we have had. It is important to note that Bolivia had ratified in 2023, but the committee was not active, and we hadn't made a lot of progress in the facilitation agreements that we had. In 2021, as you can see, we have used a reform tracker with the use of several entities that have helped us to make progress as a country. In 2021, in October, we were able to create officially a Commerce Facilitation Committee with the knowledge that we already had from other national organizations that made part of the committee and had to do with foreign trade. We were able to make progress in the first facilitation committee for commerce, where we approved the different commissions that we had inside so that they can start working with topics, each one with a specific sector in mind. We were able to make progress with technical meetings when it comes to facilitation of commerce. Alexandra, I don't know if it's only me, but I believe that we cannot see the slides. Or can you all see them? No, you need to put it in presentation mode, Alexandra. Okay, sure. Yeah, I put it in presentation mode so that we can all see it.
Ok, tal vez de este modo se vea mejor. ¿Me dicen, por favor, si se recorre?
Ahora sí recorre.
¿Sí? Ah, perfecto. Esta era la cronología de trabajo que les estaba comentando. Posteriormente,
this is the working calendar with the ones that we have had with reform trackers. We have all 36 reforms created, 9 agencies, 99 active users, active between 2021 and 2022. We have had some difficulties due to the change in the political actors that decreased our active members, but now we retook it in the end of 2023. We are doing another update of this reform teams with the users that have changed as well. It has to be due to circumstances that countries undergo when there is a change of authorities. The reform tracker helps us to have the facilitation agreement that helps us to know which ones, where our priorities and goals should be to attain 100% of the fulfillment that we have had. The agencies that have participated from the public sector, as we have highlighted, we have the customs, the Ministry of Economy and Foreign Affairs, Trade, National Customs helps us with the commerce facilitation, encouraging the strategic and organization development so that the government can fulfill the facilitation, the trade facilitation agreement. The Ministry of Foreign Trade, which is trying to always do the follow-up, and the Ministry of Economy and Public Financing, the Ministry of Public Economy, the Ministry of Rural Development and Land are the permanent members of the council. They can also request the participation of public and private entities. During this year, the ministry has also helped us in the different meetings that we have had. The private agencies were also invited to perform the reform tracker with the private companies from Bolivia and the National Chamber of Customs from Bolivia. And they are all making progress internally, providing ideas to the presidency so that they can take into consideration these issues. We had an ordinary meeting with this sector, with the president, and also different private stakeholders have a saying in foreign trade. They told us what their needs are and how we can probably help them more in certain issues that they request. And this has helped us to have a better working plan and a better feedback. When it comes to implementation results, we have reached an 85.8% with 31 implemented measures. We have seen, however, that many times we can even have an improvement from the ones that are already fulfilled, or we can reach a better understanding and to identify a better measure and redirect it. This is what we are seeing, for instance, facing the working plan that we are performing currently. Now, finishing the best practices, we have had meetings, high-level meetings, because we have mainly ministers and the ministers of different areas to have the amount of members we can delegate, but at least one minister has to be present. The National Committee for Facilitation has helped us to have policies and integral coordination. The Article 7 that has to do with border facilitation doesn't only have to do with this, but it also has to do with progressing with the ones working in the border. And this helps us to cooperate between agencies, and the work becomes a little easier to develop this. And this will be in the facilitation commerce framework. when it comes to information transparency, where we have managed to do it thanks to the National Facilitation Committee for Commerce. This is important so that the coordination that we have been doing with different groups becomes more effective, because we have a mandate and we have goals to reach, and we have to report to the highest level every 3 and 4 months. The National Facilitation Committee is conformed by these ministries with a technical secretariat as well, which is a mechanism that helps the committee to organize the structure. And here I would like to indicate what are our CTTs, or technical work commissions. Now we have 6, we had 7 before. Now this helps us to know that we are very active. And now we have this ministerial resolution that has been created for the commissions. Now we are working with this to modify and to modify and create this for the local committees that we have. These working groups or technical commissions, committee 1 has to do with customs and borders. 2, sanitary and phytosanitary measures, food security, food safety. 3rd, technical obstacles. 4th, transit. 5th, commercial defense, that was eliminated because we created a national authority for commercial defense, so we don't need this committee. 6, commercial notifications. And 7, infrastructure and ports. The objectives of our CNFC that we will be achieving in 2023 is to have a single window for exporting with clear policies for authorized operators. And we are having a supreme decree for 2024, the digital certification that we are making progress with, and to update the norms and increase the transparency norms and information and commercial notifications that we have worked with, thanks to the existence of this committee and thanks to the promotion by Reform Tracker and National Customs, that they do help us to know how we have to make progress. The mandate for the committee number 1 has to do with implementing structures for the coordination of customs, and all the participants that can be in the national framework for commercial notifications. And it is the last one, also very important for us, has helped us to work with commerce organizations. The sector that has to do with this is the Ministry of Commerce and the participation on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We have had an extensive training with these different entities, because they first need to know what is the agreement, then know what is the form, and have also the use between the World Trade Organization to be able to receive notifications. These notifications also need to be well written, because this has to be sent to the World Trade Organization, and they must be published in the committees that are needed. Recently, we have done this in 2023, 2024, and the action plan is has been updated, and we have sent notes to customs, and as technical secretary, we have worked on this, also training in the new users of Reform Tracker. A general action plan has helped us also perform 3 ordinary meetings, which is also enshrined in the creation of the committee, approving agendas and projecting a plan for the National Facilitation Commerce application to modify the plan for different committees. We are making progress today. For instance, we have the meeting that it presents the working plan for commerce. And as you can see, we have a different amount of ideas. This is not consolidated. However, we have a meeting that will help us modify this topic. And I would like to also tell you about the different lessons that we have had and the lessons learned. One of the challenges is to continue cooperation with entities, acknowledging also that there are changes of authorities, and many times the commitments can change. So communication that we can and that we need to achieve in the National Facilitation Committee must be quick and formal. Now, when it comes to formal issues, sometimes we need to send notes and revisions. Know that to verify if the commitments are being met, and if not, we need to perform also adjustments through our National Secretariat. In sustainability, we all need to continue engaged with our projects and also with the work that we have assigned. And of course, if people have to be responsible and they need to be also, we also have the operations, and this topic has helped us to coordinate between entities. We have had meetings with 2023 with which has derived into the project for Bolivia and the designation of who has to implement this. We are currently making progress, but it is, however, a lesson learned for us because we have been able to have a pathway with the important activities, which has been also an important lesson for us and that we will continue in the next year. And we have learned to have a better organization, to have a better communication, and to present also goals that we might need to readjust. That will be my presentation by Bolivia. We believe we have things that are urgent that we need to do, and we need to continue working in our best practices with different institutions. But this is the experience that Bolivia has so far with the NTFC using Reform Tracker. Thank you very much. Thank you, Alejandro, for your presentation. And the beginning and the use of Reform Tracker in all the process.
At this point, I want to open the floor if you have any questions, either for me. Actually, I forgot to open the floor after I made this long presentation about the new features and everything. But if you have any questions for me or for Alejandra, please raise your hand or send it in the chat if you prefer. Anyone? The chat has been very active. Thank you for all the nice messages and about from all the corners and the hellos. So that's great. No one has any question or comment? No? Then, without further delay, we go to the next speaker. It's Lungile Dlamini from the Eswatini Revenue Services. She was recently, how do you say, seconded to work full-time on the work of the NTFC. So it was a domestic loan from the Eswatini Revenue Service. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lungile. And she will explain about the Eswatini Trade Facilitation Committee, who restarted its activities with full energy in spring this year. The floor is yours, Lungile. I don't know if yes, she's sharing the screen. We can see it. Now you have to put it in presentation mode. Elijan bien su canal de interpretación para poder escuchar a Lungile, que hablará en inglés.
Please choose your interpretation channel and switch it to the appropriate language so that you can enjoy the presentation.
Thank you, Aranza. Good afternoon, good morning, or evening to all the colleagues. I am happy to have this opportunity to give the Eswatini experience. My name is Lungile Dlamini. I am the manager trade facilitation in the Eswatini Revenue Service and a member of the NTFC Secretariat. So the overview of my presentation, I will give a background of the trade facilitation reforms, and I will touch on the need for the trade facilitation roadmap and the development process, the steps we've taken to develop our new roadmap, and talk about the next steps. So the Eswatini NTFC had a roadmap for the period 2019 to 2022. But in this period, we were faced with many challenges, more especially the global one, COVID-19, such that the NTFC could not meet regular or as scheduled. So, but nonetheless, we did have some achievements in the period. Like in 2020, we were able to launch the Trade Information Portal. And in 2021, we were able to conduct the time release study, and the technical support, we were receiving it virtually. And from 2022 to 2020, from 2020 to 2022, we were able to implement the reform tracker with the support from UNCTAD. So, and then in 2021, the NTFC started to meet regularly. We have had the first quarter meeting on 28 July, second quarter meeting, 28 September, third quarter meeting, it was on 30 November. So now the NTFC, because 2023, I would say the old roadmap had expired, we considered the need to develop the new one. And also the NTFC considered the need for resourcing the NTFC Secretariat. Aranza has mentioned that I have been seconded to to be full-time in the NTFC Secretariat. So the need for the roadmap, the NTFC has felt it is very, very important to have a roadmap, more especially because it provides a common vision. We will recall that the NTFC is made up of various stakeholders, various government agencies. So having a roadmap provides a common vision for all the agencies. And it gives a strategic approach for the trade facilitation work and enhances collaboration. And it provides an inclusive framework where every government agency is given an opportunity to make contribution on the activities that the NTFC will undertake. And also it supports the prioritization of work and guides resource mobilization. And lastly, it is a results-based framework. So the NTFC activities that have happened in 2023, on the 11th to 14th September, we had a workshop with the support from UNCTAD. Our colleagues, Aranta and Roxana, they came to Eswatini to help us develop the new roadmap. So on 28 September, which was the NTFC Q2 meeting, we presented the roadmap, but it was not approved. We had to rework on the vision and some of the goals, such that on the 16th to 18th of October, the Secretariat, together with the General Technical Working Group, we had a workshop with the support from World Bank, where we had to work to revise the vision, the goals, and also we identified the activities that we are going to undertake for each goal. So on the 30th of November, which was the NTFC Q3 meeting, we presented the roadmap. It was approved this time around with a recommendation to produce a strategic plan so that it clearly shows the indicators, the key performance indicators and targets for each goal. So as the Secretariat, we are yet to do this activity of clearly showing the KPIs and targets for each goal. We also undertake another activity in the period, the time release study of 2023. We conducted it on the week of 13th to 17th November. And this study did not only cover Eswatini, but we did it jointly with South Africa, with our counterparts, South African Revenue Services. So I'll briefly touch on our roadmap. So the vision now stands to transform Eswatini into a one-stop, paperless and climate-smart, seamless trade hub with digitalized processes that enable legitimate trade for sustainable economic growth. And our mission reads as to reduce time and cost for facilitating legitimate goods across our borders through digitalization of trade-related procedures which allow or promote inclusive participation of women and the youth. So in total, we have 7 goals under the new roadmap. And goal 1 is to strengthen governance, management, and coordination of all national trade facilitation initiatives and processes by the end of 2024. Basically, goal 1 is focusing on strengthening the governance of the NTFC. We have activity that speaks to the resourcing of the NTFC Secretariat and the participation of all the NTFC members in quarterly meetings. I will highlight that we are having a challenge with the participation of all NTFC members, but we are seeing an improvement. Goal 2 speaks to increasing availability, accessibility, and usage of up-to-date and credible trade-related information in digital platforms by March 2025. As we have seen in our vision and mandate, there is the keyword digitalization. So basically, goal 2 will help us deliver on digitalization. Goal 3, to implement coordinated border management practices and systems interconnectivity. So here we want to fully embrace coordinated border management practices supported by systems interconnectivity. We want to connect with all trade regulatory agencies, and we want to connect with external partners, either bilateral or multilateral. Goal 4, we want to establish and maintain a performance measurement system to monitor and improve efficiency and effectiveness of trade facilitation initiatives, because monitoring and evaluation is very key in projects. And then goal 5 speaks to authorized economic operator. As Eswatini, we are currently in the AEO compliance level. So we want to upgrade to full AEO and also national single government AEO by December 2024, and SACCO single government AEO by March 2025. In this goal, we have the support from the SACCO. Goal 6, we want to implement international, continental, and regional initiatives beyond WTO TFA. We have recognized that there are other trade facilitation initiatives that are beyond WTO or TFA. Examples can be the Africa Free Continental Free Trade Area. So goal 7, we want to increase participation of vulnerable groups in trade by the end of 2026. Here, basically, we are speaking to gender issues in trade. So in a nutshell, that is how our roadmap looks. So the next steps, we want to finalize the capturing of the roadmap onto the reform tracker tool. Currently, we are busy with capturing our new roadmap onto the reform tracker. And I think this is the main reason why we appear as #1 user. And we want to reconstitute working groups to initiate the work on the projects or activities that are in the new roadmap. Yes, our technical working groups have not been that much active, so there is need to resuscitate them. And then we will, going forward, we will implement the activities of the roadmap and continuously update the reform track. That brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your attention.
Thank you very much, Longile, for this presentation. Actually, it's been quite a journey, as Longile was saying, for Eswatini, and it's amazing to see this refreshed commitment for the work of the NTFC, where they are having their regular every 3 months meetings every last Thursday of each quarter without missing one. So it's very, very inspiring. So thank you very much. Do we have any questions for Longile? Comments, questions? We have colleagues from Longile in the call, so I don't know if they have to complement anything. No. So then yes, we have. I saw a hand, but it disappeared. No. Someone was shy. Okay, maybe by the end of all the presentations. So thank you very much, Longile, and we give the floor now to our third presentation today, which will be done by Ingrid Guapaya from Peru. Welcome, Ingrid, and the floor is yours.
No me permite compartir la pantalla.
I cannot share my screen.
Sí, podemos quitar. I need to, Longile, if you can stop sharing your screen. Mírame ahora, Ingrid, porque le he dado a otro botón. ¿No te permite todavía? Sí, vale, perfecto. Estamos viendo tu pantalla y ahora está perfecto en grande. Lo vemos maravillosamente. Adelante, muchas gracias. No te oímos, estás muted. Estás con el micrófono apagado. La cámara bien, pero ahora sí. Muchas gracias.
Sí. Muchísimas gracias y gracias por esta oportunidad de
Thank you very much for the opportunity of sharing with you regarding the reform tracker state in Peru. Thank you very much for the support provided by UNCTAD and especially for the foreign trade facilitation. Thank you for your help with this facilitation processes. When it comes to the facilitation and commerce and regarding what has been established for the information that we have entered for the reforms, we see that Peru has implemented the UNCTAD in a good percentage. This means that over 105 elements from the verification list have been fulfilled regarding the implementation. Now, in Peru, we have applied 5 measures, 3 in the B category and others in the B category. The ones that have been put in the B category that are resolutions of cooperation between organizations and borders, and the ones having to do with a single window, all these measures have already been implemented. Regarding the C category and the inspection for testing, these 2 categories in Peru, they still need to be accessed for their appropriate fulfillment. And we are fulfilling this. Now, how are we implementing the measures for these categories? We have requested the cooperation for international agreement and the Swiss cooperation as well. We carried out the improvement of sanitary measures for the CNFC facilitation agreement. With this, we identify the best practices and they diagnose for the national framework for all the gaps that we have for commerce facilitation. And we have also centered ourselves in 5 measures that we have reviewed regarding this agreement, which is risk management, being an authorized operator, control and reinforcement, notifications, and cooperation between authorities in the border. This has allowed us to have a national framework for risk control and to have systems that will be built in our single window for early alerts and reinforced controls, amongst others. Amongst these linked components that have to do with the measures that I have just mentioned. Regarding controls and notifications, with the help of cooperation, we identified best practices that are linked to alerts, diagnosing the management, the notifications, with 3 sanitary authorities, which are the ones that regulate biologic products, agriculture products, processed and agriculture products as well. We developed a notification or quick control and reinforce control method that is being done. And we also have broadcasting activities for the private sector. Now we continue implementing the system, and as you know, we are building systems that this takes a long time, and it involves not only human efforts but also budgeting, and so we are building these systems in the framework of the 2.0 project that we have. We have performed a diagnosis for notifications, and we have also currently worked with a demo for the project. We have also identified the best practices, the application of testing methods, norm analysis, with 3 authorities that we just mentioned as well. We have also socialized procedures with the private sector. And we have also followed up with the importance of these procedures to allow this sampling for imports. As a result of this component, we have norms and regulations And we continue working with them through the authorities. And of course, we continue with training as well. When it comes to risk management, which is one of the main diagnoses that we have had, with the best practices and applications for risk management. Also checking for existing regulations. We have had also workshops, and this we have identified the needs of training.
Estamos viendo normativa vinculada a la materia y también seguimos trabajando.
We are also showing how to implement this system with the single window. For authorized operators, we have elaborated norm projects which have allowed us to provide benefits and controls to authorized economic operators. This hasn't stopped yet. The norms and tasks continue. We currently have 4 and we are still needing 1. But we have defined, and it has helped to have a procedure which was made possible with the participation of authorities in this project. And as I mentioned, we are in a process of working with internal legislation and also through a supreme decree and the creation of a single help window. We also have performed diagnose, description of border processes. We have identified the type of institutions for a harmonized control. We have proposed a legal framework incorporating the unique sanitary framework, which provides the possibility for all of us, all the authorities, to have a border officer to perform inspections. We are still waiting for tasks that need to be developed in this framework. We are also socializing this level with the authorities. Now, we want to harmonize procedures and operations in border controls. In Peru, we have an objective to go beyond parameters, understanding its instructions, and also understanding that there is a lot of opportunities to develop each one of the measures of the agreement. Now we have prioritized in our reforms a few articles on the facilitation agreement, namely transparency, Article 1, anticipated resolutions, where we still have things to develop because they haven't been used adequately in our country. We want to continue making progress in risk prevention as well. Now we also are analyzing how we can incorporate measures that will provide support in the borders and to improve imports and exports. Like I mentioned, in this reform platform, we have incorporated and we have used the improvement of electronic portals for control. We are also evaluating cooperation to improve these portals. And for this as well, we have the analysis of the improvements, and we can see also an analysis or a study that we did for rapid scans and crisis times. The study allowed us to identify measures to be implemented, and that were quite useful during the pandemic. For the action plan of the Technical Secretariat in 2024, we have prioritized the National Facilitation Committee. We have also performed work with this commission. We have 4 technical teams, one that has to do with the agreement for facilitation, and other 3 technicals that have to do with process digitalization, logistic chain security, and also structural logistics. Also, we have created a specific web page for this, also to communicate internal measures from the commission. In one of the activities of this action plan, we have also implemented a logistics observatory. We currently have an information mode for e-commerce called MISLO, which is the basis for this logistics observatory. And as a last topic that I would like to highlight, we have had an important activity. A few years ago, we have developed had the pleasure to be hosts of a regional workshop for commerce facilitation. The Tourism and Commerce Ministry received a delegation from facilitation committees from Bolivia, Ecuador, Honduras, and Peru. We were quite happy of receiving all of our colleagues here in our facilities. This was part of the empowerment by UNCTAD to improve the capacity building of these committees to implement successfully both initiatives in the private and public sectors. We talked about monitoring and strategies to do facilitation and also efficient communication as well. We encouraged the best practices application in the region, and the activities included visits for the Callao facilities and the international airport, specifically the Palma, which is an important terminal here for aerial transport within the airport. So we had a very valid experience for all participants. They were able to visit the port. And we also had the opportunity of seeing an inspection inside the airport. All of this was possible thanks to the support of our technical secretary, Sunam, which is also a key aspect of the organization of this workshop. All the delegations worked and presented plans for the presidency of the National Facilitation Committee for 2023 and 24. The 4 action plans were accessed by delegations in the reform tracker for its monitoring as well. The pictures here show work that we performed during those days. That's all I wanted to present for you. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, Ingrid, for your presentation. It was quite complete as well. Now we have a few comments already in our chat. There was a question that was presented by Washington, who is asking if economic operators in Peru, what categories are there in? I replied according to the categories that you presented a while ago. However, I don't know if you want to maybe comment a little bit about different plans that you might have to improve. We all know that one thing is to write an agreement and have the minimums that we need to reach for an agreement to be implemented. But a different thing is processes that must be improved continually. And specifically in the case of authorized economic operators that we have seen in the last years, which with each country having their system, now we have a negotiation between agreements. So I don't know if you have an update for this topic. Well, we have different issues regarding the improvement of our economic authorized partner. One of the components of the project that we have with Swiss cooperation was to incorporate authorities as part of the project by OEA. Now, these authorities, they developed or evaluated the possibility of providing operators with a number of criteria that they needed to fulfill for sanitary control. Now, what they finally managed to do is to have the norm by different authorities. And now we have norms that we have issued to provide tools to economic operators, and we are developing this. Now we want to fulfill with this cooperation and coordination established that must exist between custom authorities and also between border control authorities. And as I mentioned, we have different aspects for OEA and mutual recognition of AEO in the Pacific Alliance context. We are already working in the mutual acknowledgement systems with Mercosur. Now, this is the nearest mutual recognition agreement that we have, and in our colleagues, they can complement on this. But what I can mention is that one of the actions that we are performing to increase these mutual acknowledgement mechanisms are being done through the Pacific Alliance. A follow-up question here. Gabriela is asking, what have been your experience and how have you managed to link this with OEA? Well, for the authorized operator, that has been led by SUNAP. SUNAP is an entity that depends on the Ministry of Economy. Now, there's two entities. They also work together with us, and they managed to also integrate these authorities in the OEA program. We had several coordination meetings to exchange ideas regarding benefits coming to the facilitation of this. Now, to be transparent, this is all initial. They're quite basic, but they do open the possibility of working to provide better benefits to the operators. We consider that what we have worked is initial and it will benefit operators, and we are still improving these economic operators. But we believe it is vital to have this direct coordination with the authorities, having working groups, and showing this benefits for international commerce. Do we have another question for Ingrid, maybe? All right, if we have any other comments.
We have a question from Innocent Bamusi asking, I want to find out how the NTFC meetings are financed. And this was after Lunghile's presentation. So I don't know if Lunghile wants to take over and answer that question. But in general, since we have many people from many different NTFC secretariats right now listening to this, go ahead and try to answer in the chat, because you can present, you can explain how you finance this. In many countries, the only thing that you need, and I say the only thing, but actually sometimes it's not even that easy, right? Is a room. Is a room and the capacity to gather these people around a room. However, in some other countries, either there is not such a big room, or there is the let's say habit that in these kind of meetings there is some kind of coffee break that is provided, and you need to find out you need to figure out how to pay for this. So in some countries they look for financial support in the framework of the different projects, and each time it's a different project that pays for this event. But they really plan it to make sure that there is that this is contemplated in the different projects. In other countries, they look for usual budget lines of the different ministries, or they might even ask the private sector to finance the meetings. So really, it changed from country to country. Innocent, I don't know exactly from which Malawi Revenue Authority, I guess, because it reads MR. So exactly, I don't know in your country how you have been financing this, but these are the different options that that I have seen. So, Lungile, do you want to explain how this is done in Eswatini? I don't know if she's still connected, otherwise you can explain in the chat. So I can see, okay, Gabriela is also sending something, but no estoy segura, Gabriela, de que la hayas mandado a todo el mundo. Déjame ponerlo. Bueno, María, si puedes mirar, porque creo que Ingrid no ha enviado el link.
Okay, Maria, can you look? Because I believe not everybody has the link. If you could
Sí, sí,
send
lo
it
estoy
over the
mirando.
chat then.
Sin más dilación, quiero dar la palabra a nuestro último presentante.
I would like to give the floor to our last presentation.
Su nombre es Odair Sousa, viene de San Tomé y Príncipe.
She comes from São Tomé and Príncipe. They're not members yet of NTFC, but they have a great commitment to start facilitation. And I've had the pleasure of working with them since 2016, and I have been able to witness all this progress. Elaine, you have the floor.
Arancha, muchas gracias. Permítame en nombre
On behalf of the General Director of Customs and myself, I would like to thank you for the opportunity of being here. The reform tracker expectations was low, because we were not very familiarized with the platform. However, everything that has to do the things that we don't know, sometimes we don't necessarily feel comfortable with. But thanks to this presentation by Aranza, we were able to understand and perceive the importance that the reform tracker has for us and for others too. We also saw how the reform tracker can allow for each one of the users to measure or to learn about all of the activities of CFC. It also allows us to do a monitoring of CFC activities and all activities also on a day-to-day basis. Our hope is to have more innovative solutions in Reform Tracker to allow the simplification of our activities. Also, the NTFC in San Tomé and Príncipe was started in 2021, but we started using it in 2023. And we did 3 meetings with different entities that are involved in foreign trade, both public and private entities. For instance, the intermediary board and to do all the work for customs and the Chamber of Commerce and the agencies, the maritime and aerial also, and different entities as well from the public sector. And so this is what I wanted to mention here for you. Thank you. Thank you very much also for participating in San Tomé. One of the things that are so important is that they have their reform tracker, not only the measures for the facilitation agreement, but they also have use reform tracker to do a a follow-up of the work plan and a project that will be starting in 2024 to update Sidonia using Reform Tracker to do a follow-up of this project as well. So in this case, where they're using Reform Tracker to monitor different aspects, we have seen that we needed to work in the possibility of creating this verification list for the measures. And as it was mentioned as well, we will be also working in this roadmap, and for which we will be also working in this capacity. Do we have any specific questions for Odair? No, we have a question. Lungile, we have a...
To you. Can you hear us, Lungile? No? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask this question to everyone in the room. So if someone feels like they have an example that they could give some encouragement to others, please go ahead. The question is, what is the reason for poor participation of NTFC members in case you are in a country where there is poor participation? And have you found any ways to improve this participation? Because as Patok is saying, poor participation seems to be an issue for many countries, and how to improve this. ¿Alguien que se anime a contestar? Someone who wants to answer this question?
Tenemos a Hernán Chico.
We have Hernán Chico.
Pregunta, sino formular otra
I don't
pregunta.
think that he wants to answer. I think he wants to ask another question.
So in case of participation, I can, well, we have Ketsiwe from Eswatini. I think she's in a position to answer that question, as she's a member of the Secretariat of the NTFC. Ketsiwe, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Hello, colleagues. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Aranza, just so I am clear on the question that you wanted to ask Lungile. Unfortunately, the system kicked me out a moment ago. If you can just repeat the question that was for Lungile.
Yes. So the question is from Patoko from Namibia, and he asked, what was the reason for poor participation of the NTFC members? And as she said, that they are now seeing some improvements in terms of participation. What have the Secretariat done to ensure improved participation so that we can learn from them, as poor participation in meetings seems to be a common challenge for NTFCs?
Yes, this is still work in progress. Yes, we have realized an improvement on the participation. We have been able to communicate with a number of the NTFC members. Our co-chairs have been personally communicating with the members. And I think the presentation that we made at Cabinet also assisted, because if you present with the ministers, and the principal secretaries will also take interest. So we have tried to sort of make personal calls to the members to improve the attendance, but mostly it's been the work of the NTFC co-chairs,
because these are their colleagues and it's people they have on call now and again. So they have been able to sort of speak to them personally about the NTFC. I don't know if I'm able to answer that one.
Thank you, Swatini. So, Patoko, you got to know Brightwell, who came to the event that we had in Johannesburg, and Brightwell took it back as part of his commitments to really reinitiate these events of the NTFC and to reach out to the others. And thanks to the support of the various members of the Secretariat, this has been done. And Ketsiwe, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was around August that you had this excellent idea to re-pitch the NTFC to the cabinet of the government, where you found the opportunity to re-explain to ministers why is this important and why is this relevant. And this is something that maybe it's a lesson learned for the other NTFCs to try to find a small space in the agenda of these very important people to hear about the NTFC.
Yes, we did that, and we are hoping that we were talking about it just the other week when we had our Q3 meeting, that we have to once again repitch the NTFC because we have a new government. So we would like to take advantage of that window and go and present our work with cabinets again with the new government.
Yes, that's a good example of something very concrete that yields results. And that, as you mentioned, Ketsiwe, needs to be done from time to time because cabinets change as well, right? So it's also a very important step when we want to do domestic resource mobilization, which is something that has been also successfully done in Eswatini in the recent months. Hernán tiene la mano levantada. Hernán, ¿tienes una pregunta para nosotros?
Hernan, you have your hand raised. Do you have a question for us?
No nos dice nada, Hernán. Se habrá ido a algún sitio, el internet le ha
All right.
fallado.
Hernan is probably gone or the internet failed him.
Any questions, any comments? No, so ahead of time, or aware of the time, we have 5 minutes left. Let me close this event. Thanking you for the participation, for the excellent presentations that we got today from Alejandra, from Ingrid, from Lungile, and from Odair, with the intervention from Iman from Egypt. We reached this end of the year. It's been the 3rd year that the reform tracker is alive, and it's a journey, and it's a project that I personally enjoy a lot. And I'm looking forward for the revamp of the site and the mobile-friendly site for 2024. 2 other announcements I want to share with you. One is that we will launch on the 6th of February, so very soon, special course that we have created with the support of all regional commissions of the UN on blockchain and trade facilitation. So the idea of this course is not for IT persons, but really like to explain to people like you why you should consider blockchain for your projects on trade facilitation. Should you not? What is in it for you? And the little things you should know in case they, as advisors in trade facilitation for your countries, someone asked, what about blockchain? So the little things that you should know to be able to take informed decisions on this subject matter. So we will launch it. You will all receive an invitation to join. It's a course by registration. So once you receive the link, that I can actually put in the chat, we will ask. So here is the link in the chat. You can register there, and once you have registered, then at some point you will receive the invitation for the launch event on the 6th of February. The second announcement is, well, if you know people who want to do the course, please share. It will be open to anyone who is interested, not just NTFCs working with us, like all the courses we do. So this one is really open because it's a common effort from all the regional commissions of the UN. And open. So feel free to share it among colleagues and in your networks. And the second announcement about something very, very important that is going to happen in 2024 is the another National Trade Facilitation Committee Forum that will take place in the framework of a bigger event called the Global Supply Chain Forum in May in 2024 in Barbados. Right now, I cannot tell you much more about the event apart from asking my colleagues to share the website where you can find more information. But for sure, you will hear in the upcoming months more and more about this event. Try to see if you are working with partners on different projects, if there is a possibility for them to sponsor the participation of your country in this event, because this is going to be really a super informative NTFC forum where we are going to discuss a lot of subject matters and share a lot of best practices on how to handle the NTFC, but also like key new emerging topics. So my colleagues have shared with you that information. As I mentioned in my presentation, please send me your announcements for the newsletters, the monthly newsletters of the Reform Tracker by the 22nd of December. We will share the recording of this session in an email with all of you in case some could not participate to the event. I see there has been more than 120 people connecting at some point during the meeting. So thank you very much for joining from all the corners. It's been a pleasure, and I wish you all a resting end of the year. I hope you find the opportunity to take a deep breath and reflect about everything, the hard work you have done in 2024, so that you can take it over with lots of energy for 2024. And so the work that you have done in 2023 and with lots of energy for 2024. And I wish to continue collaborating with all of you in the future. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you for my colleagues for all the support, for the panelists. It's been a blessing being with you today. Thank you very much. Muchas gracias a todos. Ha sido un placer.